Alright, hello everyone. We are going to have a 5-minute check before we move on to Chapter 2, Lesson 2.1, Relations and Functions. So hopefully you still remember how to do this. Evaluate 7w minus z over x times y. Okay, remember if there are two variables next to each other, that's multiplication. Alright, so let's plug in. Bring down 7. Your w is -1, so open parentheses, that means times. -1 minus your z is -5, so we're going to enclose that in parentheses. -5, close parentheses, all over. Our x is 2 times your y is 3 over 4. Okay. Alright, so let's simplify. So multiply this two first. 7 times -1 is -7. And then minus -5. So double negatives. That will give us a plus. Plus 5 over 2 times 3. That gives us 6 over 4. Okay. Alright, let's simplify further. So what do you do? -7 plus 5. What is our answer here? So that gives us -2 over 6 over 4. Okay, so how do you simplify a fraction? When you are dividing a whole number or an integer, divide by a whole fraction. So simply, let's bring down -2 over 1. And then instead of dividing, you switch to multiplying. So times. Then what do you do with 6 over 4? We're going to flip 4 over 6. And proceed to multiplication. So -2 times 4, that gives us -8 over 1 times 6 is 6. Okay, so how do you simplify that? What's common between 8 and 6? That would be 2. Divide top and bottom by 2. So that gives us 4 over 3. So this is our final answer. Alright, very good. Okay, let's move on to the next. Name the property illustrated by -15b plus 15b equals 0. So you've noticed that they have opposite signs and equals 0. So that would be inverse property of addition. Alright, solve 2 times the quantity c minus 5, close parentheses, minus 2 equals 8 plus c. So what do you do here first? Okay, so we are going to distribute 2 to each variable and number in the parentheses. So that gives us 2c minus 10 minus 2 equals 8 plus c. Okay, so you work that out. You just need to simplify this too. So 10 and -2, that gives you -12 because they have the same sign, equals 8 plus c. Alright, so we're going to move our c to the other side. So that gives us c minus 12 equals 8. Okay, and then you add 12 both sides. So what's your final answer? That would give you 20. Okay? So don't forget, distribute first. That was the common mistake in some of your homework. Okay, so this one. Let's go over on this absolute value equations. A lot of you miss this. You just, some of you just solve this like one case, ordinary equation. Now remember, when you solve an absolute value equation like this, you have two possible cases. Case number one is the positive case. Case number two is the negative case. Okay? So we have to divide our space into two. Alright, so before you do anything else, make sure before you divide that your absolute value in one side of the equation is isolated, meaning there's no number after it, there's no number at the bottom, or there's no number before the absolute value. So in this case, we have 4, so we need to move 4, so subtract 4 both sides to get rid of. Okay, so that gives us, just bring down 3x, don't change the sign of 5, minus 5 is equal to 14 minus 4, that gives you 10. Okay, so that is the isolated absolute value. This is the time that you are going to split, okay, into two cases. So the positive case is 3x minus 5 equals 10, and then the negative case, don't change the sign of 5 again, just bring it down, equals negative 10. And then you work it out. Okay, so add 5 both sides, so that gives you 3x equals 15 divided by 3, so that gives you 5. That is your one possible answer. And then here, the same thing, you add 5 both sides, so that gives you 3x equals negative 5. Divide 3 both sides, so x equals negative 5 over 3. Okay? Alright, so before you can say that these are your solutions, you have to check. Always check for extraneous solution, meaning you got an answer, but it's not the real solution. Okay, so how do you do that? You're going to plug this in to the original problem. So absolute value of 3 times our first answer, 5, minus 5, close absolute value, plus 4, and then you check if your answer is equal to 14. Okay, so this gives us 15 minus 5, that gives you 20. 15 minus 5, that gives you 10, plus 4, so that gives you 14, equals 14. So they are equal. That means this is your first solution. Alright, do the same thing for the fraction. So you're going to check absolute value of 3 times negative 5 over 3 minus 5, close absolute value, plus 4. Is it equal to 14? Okay, so let's simplify this. So this cancel out. So that gives you negative 5 minus 5 absolute value plus 4. Okay, so the absolute value of this is negative 10, which is 10 plus 4, that gives you 14. Okay, so that means this is also a real solution. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the last one. Okay, solve 2b minus 5 less than or equal to negative 1. Graph the solution set on the number line. So remember, pay attention to your inequality. If there's a line at the bottom, that means closed circle. Okay, so you can already eliminate some of this because the circles are open. If there is no line there, that means circles are open. But there is a line, it's solid, so it's either A or C. Alright, let's work this out. So 2b minus 5 is less than or equal to negative 1. Okay, so what's your first step here? So we have to isolate b. So we need to move 5 to the other side. So that gives you 2b less than or equal to negative 1 plus 5. That gives you 4. And then your last step, divide both sides by 2. So less than or equal to 2. Okay? So our answer here is letter A. Okay, I hope you learn something more on these problems and you're ready to move on to chapter 2. Thank you for listening.